Hello everybody and welcome to a very unusual situation. Learn Dota 2 League Season 17 Week 1, our Game 2 that we were doing live FF'd. Space Cowboy had 3 stand-ins and that is no bueno. But luckily we had another game that was running at the exact same time, so now we're taking a look at Reedy versus Nick Game 2. We'll be probably looking at their Game 1 at some point during this week. Shadow Shaman's Swedish Shawarmas taking on Lotus Orbange Chicken. I suggested the name Crystal Made Right for that team for the Iowa reference, but sadly that didn't happen. DP Primal Beast Band, that must have been watching the other game. The ban on that Queen of Pain. Lots of Big Boy LaCroix bands coming out of the other side. Very interesting.
So we like Lion right now. It's a support kind of in vogue at the moment.
Yep. Nick gonna give him the Outworld Destroyer back. Outworld Devourer, Outworld. The OD. Gonna give him the OD back. I think it's a pretty risky pick to pick up the OD at this point. I mean, you can, if you're Gotham, you can hypothetically run it as a pause 4 if the game starts looking bad for him, but it's like, I don't really like OD as a P4 right now. I feel like he really just doesn't give you anything if he's not core. Homeboy just needs money. So I do think that's a bit dangerous. I mean, it's good against a Lion, but that's a presumptive mid being picked against a Lion. I don't know. Doesn't really sit that well with me. Little risky pick from Nick. There's another comeback. I was talking about this on the other cast. Of course, if you're watching this in the playlist, like most people probably are going to be, you're not going to know that Game 1 I was talking about some big comebacks to this league from long ago. One of these people making a big comeback, of course, is Nick, the captain of the Dire team, who has been around this community for a while.
10 seconds remaining.
Evolution Pyro as well. That Iowa stack is back in a big way.
Dire team pick.
Interesting ban. Banning out the Alchemist on the Reedy team. Banning out the Necro. Does, of course, make quite good sense. I mean, Necro is just an annoying hero that nobody ever really wants to deal with right now. Oh, we're dropping some frames bad now. This is not great. Well, luckily, if you're watching on stream, this will not affect the recording at all. This is just purely a stream VOD thing. So if you're watching the stream, it will not affect you if you choose to watch the video later. So there's that, even if it gets really bad. Dark Willow coming out. You know, not the most... I mean, Dark Willow's a support where I feel like you're never really doing yourself that much of a disfavor. I mean, assuming it's a support anyway. You're not really ever disfavoring yourself picking Dark Willow, I don't think. Even in patches where she's not great, you just still have a lot of easy stuns. You have the Bramble Maze, which is an annoying thing in itself. You have the Fear. Just something that there's never really that great of a response to. Jakiro coming up.
Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
You know, it's a funny situation. You could say the exact same thing about Jakiro and Lion, for that matter. Darkseer! Alright, seeing a little bit of Darkseer coming up in this season. Darkseer is one of those heroes where he's been going up the win rate chart pretty heavily in the last few months. I do think that has a lot more to do with the fact that Darkseer is a very good counter to a lot of the things that are very strong right now, over Darkseer being the best hero in the world, but nobody's going to argue he's bad. I mean, even at its worst, Darkseer's just in that exclusive club of heroes like Axe, for example, where the stronger the other guy is, the more damage he does to himself and his whole team. You know, particularly bad for certain picks like Medusa. So, or your Lunas, for example. So, to that end, even at its worst, unless Darkseer is just terrible numbers-wise, he's never the worst pick in the world. I kinda like him with these guys. I mean, he can easily just vacuum a bunch of people into, like, a Macropyre, you know?
Dire team pick.
I speak for the
Nature's
trees.
prophet.
He speaks for the trees.
It's okay here. I feel like since things have changed for the Nature's prophet, I feel like the situation for him is a little bit more, well, situational. I do feel like if you don't have somebody who's going to be able to combo with the trees right now, or if you're facing a team that has some ability to escape them, and if you can't take advantage of the global presence, he's not in the best spot. So therefore, until the Dawnbreaker came out, I wasn't that huge on him. Of course, Dawnbreaker and Nature's Prophet is a great combo. Just lets you bring the pain wherever you want it. Like a miniature Pit Lord Express, basically.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
And it's a nice thing to have, you know, you can put that, you can, like, start the drop. You can have Fury on drop in on trees, you can drop the Dawnbreaker hammer in the middle of a bramble maze or something, and it's quite a tricky situation to deal with. A lot of damage coming at you in a very short time, and a lot of CC as well. And then you have all of that distraction, all that fluff in your face, and then you have the OD coming at you, the glass cannon himself. You know, very easy to kill with this lineup if you can actually get to him, but if you can actually get to him, you know. Though with the Darkseer Surge, you might have a good tool that can help you with that. What do you think, Randy?
Radiant team banned.
I mean, classic global team.
Roar! First Ursa of the season coming out here. I mean, so far, this looks like an awesome Ursa game, actually. None of the CC is really gonna, like... None of the CC is really gonna do.
Into OD in any game, honestly.
Yeah, he's bad into OD, but that's like the only bad thing he's into. He doesn't care at all about the Furion, he doesn't care at all about the Bramble Maze, he doesn't care at all about Dawnbreaker.
Like, he's so bad into OD that it, like, is worse than it could ever be if he was good into any other hero. I don't know. Like, literally,
You think that's
just,
such an unplayable?
you just fucking, imprison whoever Ursa's going on, and you just, like, extricated, plus, like, wastes in rage time. I don't know.
I think it's pretty hard to waste in rage time when you got Darkseer on your team.
That's true, I suppose. We'll see.
Radiant team.
I mean, that is going to come down to execution, but at least in an ideal world, Ursa having the speed up, Darkseer having the vacuum, and a lot of control in the supports between the Ice Path, the Big Stun, the Hex off of Lion. I don't think him getting kited is going to be much of a concern this game. Of course, in like a 1v1 scenario, not so great. It's going to be hard to kill, but it's going to be hard to do anything. If team fights don't come out to their advantage, it's going to be hard for him to do anything. But if they get the first foot forward, okay. Speaking of bears, Lone Druid. Interesting. If they end up putting their best foot forward, if they end up bringing the team fights together in a cohesive way, cohesive and sensible way, and this lineup should be pretty good. They're definitely going to have to get something, because I mean, let's just call a spade even with the OD. I mean, it's just too easy to get rid of this guy with this lineup so far. It's too easy to make what he brings a non-factor. You know, you have all those distractions I was talking about up there before, but it's like, okay, so now you have all those distractions, except you also have the Lone Druid, who even at his absolute lowest point is going to be able to micro his bear to go behind the line and just kick OD's ass, you know? And it's not like he's going to be being played by a guy who can't swing it. I mean, look at this team's core trio and tell me who couldn't play OD on that lineup, or not play LD, who couldn't play LD on that lineup, you know? Oh, Ramanolo has joined us in chat. Hello, Ramanolo. You showed up just in time. If it makes you feel any better, Ramanolo, we did not have the frame drops in Game 1, so everybody got to see that in full speed.
What can you do?
Yikes, yeah. Seeing a few of the effects of it now. Hopefully it stabilizes when we get on longer. Spectre, okay, yeah, that could definitely change things quite a bit.
So indeed, we have 3 global heroes. Cool.
Yeah, I think the Spectre pick kinda sent this from the point where I felt like this was fairly Radiant favored to the point where I do feel like it is now quite a bit more even. Because now you do have something to deal with the Ursa. Now you do have something that he can't really ignore, because that was the biggest upside he had, is like, 3 of these 5 guys he can just ignore. If OD puts himself in jail, nobody he can, like, do anything about him, right? Like, you had that advantage going on, but that's gone now. You have the Lone Druid still, who can split the focus, who can deal with things of this nature, but I do think it's a lot tighter now. Still think it's generally going to be a good Earthy game, as long as the cohesion is there. If the cohesion is not there, if these guys get into the match and they're kind of just all over the place and team fights are just skills flying everywhere without much thought, then yeah, Earth is going to get his little teeth kicked in. It's going to be very sad and people are going to cry. Spectre's very complicated here. Randy, what do you think? What does this look like to you as a Spectre player? What does this game look like to you?
It's a good spec game. I mean, Lone Druid Bear can be problematic if he gets fed, but like every other hero on this team, you feed off the supports, and Darkseer like is AFK against you.
Yeah, if he gets you in the wall, it's very bad news for your team. That's it. Luckily, most players still seem to be in their games, so at the very least, you probably won't have a big influx until that starts to clear up. Oh, Lone Druid. Lone Druid pausing the game to start us out with a blast. I guess Reedy is not here. I noticed he was just not picking his hero during that. Oh, Reflesky sponsored by Little Caesars? I'm sure I probably mentioned that last season, because I think he had it then too, but man, that's a big sponsor. Is that, I think this is, Canada PMA, but I'm not sure. On the Dark Willow I'm in. I don't remember where Canada PMA went. I know they're in this season, but...
I don't know. Don't ask me.
Has that barrel...
Right where you are!
Yeah.
Sorry, cops.
Has that barrel rider's life tag, so that's why I'm thinking it. Nick on pause 3 here. Interesting. Interesting. I thought he was going to be... I thought he was mostly 1 and 2. So this is going to be interesting to see. I guess if you're in Learn Dota 2 League, you might as well learn, right? Smoke coming out on the part of the Reedy lineup. Last time, of course, we saw this opening. The other team did the exact same thing, went to the exact same place. Ursa's saying, we could go here, or we could go south. Let's go south. And he's right, that's actually where they all are. Well, that's where 3 of them are anyway. But I think they are assuming there's going to be a counteroffensive here. Not actually the case, they're just kind of splitting normally for the runes. Okay, what are we doing? They really are thinking, yeah. Oh no, they're gonna wrap in from behind, at least according to Reflesky. Or Flexy, sorry. I was calling him Reflesky the whole last season. I didn't actually read his name right once, whoops. There was somebody else I was doing that to. Well, for all the positioning and all the
battle begins.
for all the macho posturing in that pre-rune phase, did not actually have anything going on. I like how you have the big evil specter noise and then the
Yeah, of course.
Alright, would do roll call, but I'm probably going to do game 1 of this series at some point. So I'll just do that then. So for anybody watching live right now, well, you probably know who basically all these players are. Oh, what the heck, we'll do a quick rundown. Pause 1, Reedy team, it's Reedy, he's the captain. Pause, he's Ursa. Pause 2, J-Bay, Lone Druid. Pause 3, Big Boy LaCroix, Darkseer. Pause 4, Reflexy, Takiro. Pause 5, McBuff on the line. I think he's standing in. On the other team, okay. On the line, standing in. On the line, getting slammed. Okay, he doesn't live that, actually. On the other side of the coin, Nick team. Pause 1, Evolution Pyro on the Spectre. Pause 2, you've got P-E-E Wind. I believe that's, I forget his name. Ah, darn it. On the, Chobro, I think, on the OD. Pause 3, Captain of the team, Nick on the Dawnbreaker. Pause 4, Melicor, I think that might be Canada PMA on the Dark Willow. And Pause 5, Otto von Bismarck, also known as many other things, but let's call him that, on the Nature's Prophet. And don't worry, I'll forget in game 1 and I'll do it again.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Flexi is screwed. He's going to be first blood. Spin the trees and gets dealt with. Otto's going to take advantage of his teleportation abilities and just go right back home. Not the most ideal start here for this offlane. I mean, there is one thing you could definitely say against Spectre. It's like, there's one time that the Darkseer is going to definitely be AFK against Spectre. It's going to be in lane phase. I mean, he really doesn't have anything to say about her at all. It's not a great kill pressure on her, which is kind of awkward. You kind of want to have kill pressure on Spectre early, really. Okay, Ursa's also randomly going to die. Alright. She takes a trip to the Bramble Maze and dies, I assume probably going shot for shot with Neck. Unfortunately, I was still examining top.
Oh, it's not quite random. Auto TP'd in here.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense, actually. Reedy's showing off his anger, but he does not have his Q yet, so he can't get out of these trees. That's smart on Otto's behalf. Figures rightfully that Ursa is not going to have his Q quite yet, which means he does not actually have his easy escape from the trees. Of course, he still does have his Quelling Blade. You might be wondering, why didn't Reedy use it there? Well, anyway, so looking at top lane. That's my funny joke, you see.
It's pretty good.
They're going to be pampering.
What happens to the best of them, you know?
Well, Big Boy's support took an early dive here in this lane. The man himself's doing pretty well. At the very least, you can tell this is a Darkseer. You can tell a Darkseer player from a not-so-Darkseer player, because a Darkseer player is going to be on the top of the net worth chart unless somebody, or not net worth necessarily. He's going to be at the top of the last hits chart unless somebody has something to say about him, and nobody in that lane really does. J-Bay putting on a, getting that dual breath just for fun. I mean, it's not even, he's actually regenerating off all the dual breath damage without a tank or anything, which is kind of sad. But J-Bay is putting on a bit of a show here at mid. Has been biting at the ankles of this OD, who has been, well, he's 11 last hits down right now, and it's only 4 minutes, so it's not the best situation to be in, really. Evolution Pyro with the Effie laugh. Ursa with the intimidation factor there. Spectre, I think, is okay. We get a fight recap for literally nothing happening. You'll love to see it. Spectre is feeling, I think, maybe a little pressure to try and do something about this Darkseer here. Probably understands the DS is getting a little farmed up here, but I think maybe should avoid the temptation. I think should just focus on hitting creeps in this lane. Focus on hitting creeps, focus on not much health in this particular situation. Oh, Reflescionado. Oh, that one range creep. Oh, the Lotus actually is a deciding factor. I really thought.
What a cool Lotus.
I thought that range creep was going to be the decision on that. He actually did secretly also have 2 magic wand charges, which would be enough for at least 1 auto attack at this point in the game. Hey, Brawley, let's see. It's 30 HP, so it would have been like half of 1 shot, but that might have been a save if the 1 attack would have barely killed Reedy. Okay, he's in trouble again. We get the... Oh no, he's trapped in the trees! Oh, that's unfortunate. Even with the Quelling Blade.
That time,
Yeah.
but the snow tree here. You know?
Well, there was a tree there. That was the problem. He Quelling Bladed it and then found another tree.
Yeah.
And then he pinged it
What you
just
do?
to show it who's boss.
Look at this tree. Look at this shit. That's what he's saying right now. Fucking tree.
It's like the Siege of Acre in the Napoleonic Wars.
Are fortified.
Napoleon spends all that time knocking down the wall of the fort and then finds they had built another wall behind it. Except in this case, it's a funny little broccoli man, and instead of a wall, it's a tree, but same thing, basically. Okay. Some attempts going out to get some revenge here in bot lane, but really actually kind of backfires. As Lion, it just ends up being the one going down.
Like, he can leave his spec solo pretty well. Spec can't die and can farm against you, because it's like a Darkseer, right? Darkseer doesn't like stop the other hero from farming. He just pushes the wave. So auto knows he can leave.
Oh no! Okay, that's horrible. That is absolutely horrible for Team Reedy. As the Ursa takes another fall, this time to the Spectre off the first ult. Not a
Hence
great
why that's
situation.
happening. Yeah.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And like I said, it's kind of the risk of picking a Darkseer. You know, the Seer literally does not like lane. Basically, he just
Radiant's
gets last
top
hits and
tower
pushes
is
the
under
wave.
attack.
Yeah.
So if you have like a mobile support, like a Nature's Prophet on the other, like who you're laning against, you can just leave and like your hassle your carry.
Yeah, he's in very hassled here. I mean, Reedy has 3 deaths, and 3 of those deaths were Nature's Prophet dropping on his head. Not a very auspicious beginning of this game. Maybe I underconsidered how the lanes are going to go. At the very least... Okay, interesting. At the very least, if nothing else, oh, that changes things, actually. Well, Druid takes an ult at an awkward time out of the OD and just flops. That's very unfortunate, actually.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I'm sure there's going to be heresy in Lone Druid circles to say this, but I think at least a magic stick would have stopped that. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? OD with a haste going bot now. He's looking to looking to kill Reedy. One more to never mind. Even with that death, Lone Druid is still, at this point, nearly 20 last hits above OD. He's going to surpass him if OD is down here, doesn't really get anything done. He's going to get a kill on Lion, but at this point, that is up. Shout out to Train. At this point, that's one of the lowest value objectives of the server, so it's probably better for the Druid to just get the free comeback time. And gets the T1 tower there as well. Big Boy LaCroix taking his tier 1 tower down as well. It the way the Ursa kind of flopped in lane would make you think the sky is falling for the Reedy team, but if you look at the last hits chart, it's a bit of a different story. You look at the net worth chart, tells much the same story, though. Spectre being that high on the net worth chart here at less than 10 minutes is a slightly concerning thing to see. Especially when Spectre is such a make or break for this game, like.
Dire's top tower
Randy is indeed
attack.
muted. Spectre's a very big make or break for this game, and having her have a very safe lane phase is not great. It is a very unusual, I must say, it's a very unusual situation to walk out of lane 1 and 7, and the team with the 1 kill, the 1 and 1 and 7, is walking away with a 1k net worth advantage and a considerable net worth advantage on 2 of their cores. You don't see that all that often.
And one of them just like farms by existing, so I guess it's not that much of a surprise.
That's true, but one of them definitely doesn't do that.
That's true.
And he does are existing, but he usually does not get quite this amount of farm. This is pretty ballin' for early game on the old Dark Series. Actually picked himself up a very quick Veil of Discord here. Looking at rushing a Shiva's Guard, which is pretty interesting. He's actually going to make his team do a lot of damage in the early. And he's going to ignore the conventional wisdom that Darkseer doesn't land at all. He's actually bullying this... Oh, that's very unfortunate. The Nature's Prophet shows up to get some perfect trees. Splits the Seer and the Spectre perfectly there.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Though with a
attack.
Surge out, nothing really happens. Downside of that is that Spectre got to live. The upside at the very least is they just pulled 2 supports in. One came on TP, the other came TP scroll, the other came with the ability, so at the very least, you know you're pretty safe in bot lane and mid lane for a minute. Not like there's much to do in mid lane, mind you, but you know how it goes. So not really taking advantage of that fact, it kind of looks like. Reasonably, it feels like if you're Ursa here. If you're Ursa here, you tag out, you let Lone Druid go in this lane, push out that tower, fight with the funny Dawnbreaker under it to push it out while the supports are busy, and just go jungle yourself. And I mean, he's done half of that, but JB went back to mid instead of staying there. Despite all of Ursa's deaths in the early game, he's actually only a couple hundred gold under the Spectre at this point, and is only behind her, really. Everybody else ahead of him is on his team. There's that. It's very weird, I must say. Okay, Lion in a little danger here. Good macro coming out of the Jakiro. Really messes with this fight quite a bit. JB's got a Diffie on his bear, and Spectre's gonna die! Spectre's gonna die for getting involved with this. They get the... okay, that was maybe not the best... not the best ult in the world from the Darkseer, but... that was a big fight for Team Reedy there. Big fight for Shadow Shaman's Shawarma. As they just get a casual clip kill on that Spectre. We had a very safe, convenient, comfortable lane phase. I mean, she still actually walks away with some money, because she was present for the kills and the supports, but... getting rid of her in a situation where Ursa got an A and didn't die is pretty good, pretty good. What's going on here? Who's in jail right now? Lion. And he is actually going to die. Oh no, Reedy, okay.
It's fine.
Oh no, Reedy. God, don't turn around, you don't have Darkseer here. The
Gonna rage in
Dawnbreaker.
1 second.
Okay, wow, that was a huge risk on the Dawnbreaker's part. It paid off big, though.
I
Well-
wrote this called Shadow Step.
That was a really awesome looking situation. It turned into a major disaster.
Radiant's
Feels like there might have been a communication issue here, as it looked like 2 of the cores and looked like 3 of the guys were very happy to stay at bot, and looked like Darkseer and Jakiro was done. Just went to mid instead. Which,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not a great situation. You want better communication than that against a line that looks like this. Like, if you're splitting up bad against a team like this, you're not in a great place. They're going to take out the Radiant bot T1. Look like they're going to mostly get away with it. They might lose the...
Oh, okay. Nice, the prison.
They might lose the Willow on the backswing, but...
Then a prison is actually looking to get them all killed. Oh, maybe not.
yeah, Dark
JB
Willow's
is
going to
here.
quickly die. Poor... Okay, I was going to say, poor Nick has nowhere to go but the Macropyre. Does not, actually. Macropyre ends. Everything is fine in the world. Big Boy LaCroix says, hey, I've decided I want to be a part of this, actually. But it is too late. Spectre has, in the course of these fights, especially in the in that route there, has actually passed out the Lone Druid, which is pretty concerning if you're on Shadow Shaman's Swifty Shawarma. Oh no, did I just say that? Never mind. Shadow Shaman's Super Shawarma. There we go.
Expose.
It's okay. I took it back. I struck it from the record.
Okay. J-Bay is very dead.
Oh yeah.
Made for greater things, but someone told me to
This
stop.
global, like, Spectre go is ridiculously powerful right now. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
they're-
any hero can be alone on the wave.
Yeah, and I feel like the Reedy team is not really adapting all that well to it either. Feels like this lineup has put them in a situation where they're in. It just feels like they're getting caught out. It feels like they're making decisions on their own without the rest of the team's. I don't want to say consent because that sounds very serious for the scope of issue here. It kind of reminds me of the PPM team from a few seasons ago. The what was that? That was like the weird anime named team with him and Wizard and Ramonolo. That's where he got the career-ending injury. Where in a lot of those fights in that lineup, you would see kind of this sequential procession of goes. You would see these team fights where 3 guys wanted in and 2 guys wanted nothing to do with it. You saw some poor organization, and interestingly for Reedy, considering, okay, look at this massive stack he's getting. He's dying to it! Oh, Reedy, no!
God bless America.
Oh, I'm glad I caught that. Reedy's sitting there right now like, God damn it, Space Cowboy. Why the hell did you FF Game 2? Now everybody got to see that. Oh no, you hate to see it. But the organizational factor so far on this team does not feel great. And an insider tell me that one of the issues with the Monstars is that they actually kind of had the same problem, where you had very quiet chats. It feels like they're getting punished for it a lot more here. Spectre has finished the blade mail already. Eats a big Lotus. And just says, no thank you, Mr. LaCroix. I want to go kill Lion instead. Who is... I mean, look at that. What is Lion doing here right now, right? Like, nobody's even close to that. Maybe there was some big teepee he just saved that I didn't see, but, like, who would have been there anyway? Why would anybody have been there? It's, like I said, an organizational issue. Not a great situation, though. Again, I believe McBuff is a stand-in, which might be part of it. Could be that a lot of their communications are rooted of ground. I believe it's 2-7 who's the regular in this slot. At this point, Ursa's having such a good game that Nature's Prophet has almost passed him. Poor Reedy. I like, I don't know if you just caught that there. There's a little bit of a psychological play on Reflexi's part. Sent an illusion into the triangle, and when it started getting killed, he actually made it, like, try to deny itself on the creeps just to make the realism a bit more. Didn't really pay off since only Spectre was there, but it's clever. I like it. Harpoon is almost out on the Dawnbreaker. Could be a bit of an annoying
what
thing
an
to
item.
deal with. Oh, this is the part where you can make the camera red. That's nice. If anybody is worrying, no, your monitor isn't broken. That's just that particular area, for whatever reason, if you're zoomed out far enough, just makes the camera go red on this map mode. How bizarre. Big Boy LaCroix. I mean, Big Boy LaCroix has still just been playing whatever game he wants to. Okay, Otto. Otto getting a little big for his
Nice
britches
Jupiter
here.
ice path.
Yeah.
It was actually crazy doing this at 250 ping or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. At this point, the Radiant really doesn't have much of it. Huh?
Oh boy.
That is like such
Oh
a
boy,
huge...
the Dawnbreaker ults!
Yeah, that is such a huge risky go. It's actually kind of paid off. Hero buying back at the back of this fight, though. Otto on Bismarck will not be near an Ursa again. Diffusal Blade on that lone Druid Bear. Actually doing a lot in these fights.
Oh man, that could have been so sick.
Oh, they can't find Nick. Okay, they can find him now. And they sure can get rid of him in quick order.
That you heard not my warnings.
Oh, it was almost a very sick play.
Overall, that fight looked like a bit of a draw, especially considering the buyback on the Jakiro. But just the casual random kill on the Dawnbreaker outside the fight there definitely swung that in the Reedy lineup's favor. In the favor of Shadow Shaman's was Shawarma.
Now we're doing the Mask of Madness disassemble into Battle Fury. Very cool.
Big Boiler Croy calling in an item. Let's see what he's got. That looks like a Lotus Orb. It would be very appropriate considering the team he's against, using their own upsides against them.
Dire are scanning.
Dire scanning out the Wisdom Room there for auto stealing. Big Boiler Croy realizes what's up, but sadly... Oh, that's good! Actually finds him here. A little slow on the draw with his Quelling Blade, but... They're actually just gonna get this guy now.
All this
Gonna
attention
roast.
for him though.
It is a lot of attention, but I mean, if you look at that net worth chart, pretty big value kill for a support. Would have been better to have also gotten the Wisdom Rune, though. And it's just these guys. I mean, not like the cores right now are in much, at least, visible danger. It is a global lineup, but, you know, JB is 6 inches from a tower, so... It'd pull a lot of guys, but I don't think it really slowed the team down at all to do it, which is nice. Evolution Pyro on the Spectre, just casually hammering away at creeps. Again, they really don't have any, like, real, at this point, they don't really have a real credible way to kill the Spectre, like to reach out and touch somebody with it, you know? McBuff with the funny, oh no! Okay, I was about to say the Furion trees have ruined Spectre's go here, that's actually fine. Totally fine. They do win the Ward War, but at great cost to them. Well, I mean, they won the War battle, they didn't win the Ward War, unfortunately for them. Darkseer getting fairly close to continuing to completing that Aghanim Scepter once that normal punch. Shouldn't this in a game that looks like this is not a bad thing to have, really. Got some interesting passes, got a lot of right-click damage, a lot of interesting, I should say, illusion compatible passes.
You just punch the spec, right? Every fight.
You can just punch the spec every fight, make a big bad dude. Reasonably, you could actually even punch, if you couldn't get to the Spectre for one reason or another, you could actually punch the Prophet and not have a bad illusion on that either. I mean, he's mostly items right now, but you know, I mean, it's auto one Bismarck. You know, eventually at some point in this game, there's going to be some pretty fat right click coming out of the guy. Even the Dawnbreaker's not too bad. If you look at that attack damage.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I wonder if Luminosity works on illusions. That'd be funny. Ursa's gotten himself, he turned that Battle Fury into a Skull Basher, pretty quick order. One thing that I am not liking, I mean, at the moment, the Dire are probably feeling pretty good, but one thing that's worrying me is that they just can't keep the Radiance cores down on that net worth chart for long. Every time 5 minutes pass, Ursa's competitive with Spectre again, Lone Druid's competitive with Spectre again. I don't think you want both of those heroes to be competitive with the top net worth on your team, you know? Radiant are looking for anybody to be here. Not gonna find anybody. I can tell you what I would do if I were them. Are they gonna be doing it? Maybe. They're gonna be warding up like they're thinking about it. They looking for this guy, maybe? They ain't gonna find him here. Yeah, that was just nothing happened in Smoke Gank. I think a missed opportunity to try and go do Roche there. Feels like it's a very reasonable objective with Ursa's inventory, and they're all pretty close. So Nick has kindly offered himself to be the sacrificial goat. Okay, that's the Wall of Illusion was probably not needed. The Macropire on nothing at all sure wasn't needed.
They thought the spec reality, I guess.
Yeah,
Is under Dire's bottom tower.
probably thought there was more of a presence there than there really was.
Is under attack.
Kind of playing like they're assuming that the other team is just kind of playing 5 all the time, but like they're not. They don't really have a reason to jump in on losing fights. They can just gladly not do that, you know. Otto von Bismarck is just sitting here, bot, just farming the
Yeah.
GG camp.
Playing like me in a game,
Radiant's top
I've given
tower
up.
is under attack.
but it's actually, it makes sense in this scenario because
Radiant's
he's like
structures are fortified.
denying farm from some very jungle heavy farming heroes.
That is
It's
true.
actually quite smart.
Yeah, it's a weird 3D chess effect though, because these heroes are not farming right now. Not because they know the jungle is dangerous and aren't going. I mean, because they're just like doing this right now. So Reedy's team is going with a 300 IQ play of not actually farming. That's how they're going to counter auto strategy.
It's one way to do it, you know.
Ursa is going to be farming, but not in this particular area. I think that's a big part of it. Like, these guys do not feel comfortable splitting up to the point that somebody's going to be in that GG jungle at all. You know, they're going to be farming with each other. Oh my god, look at that inventory. Look at that. Look at what that druid has. The druid himself, not the bear, I should say.
It's pretty good.
I think this is definitely one of these games
That attack freedom.
where the bear ags. It's pretty good, pretty good. At least. I don't know what the hell. Does that not do that anymore? Never mind. I guess I'm behind on my lone druid lore. Does he not get global bear anymore? Goodbye, Dark Willow.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
There's a tank out here.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Very interesting. I can tell you this much, the team that needs to be getting these casual picks is the other side. If the Reedy team is getting casual picks like this, it is not a great looking scenario for the old, I almost said Crystal Maid right,
Radiant's bottom
for the
tower
Yeah,
old
it's kinda
Black King
needed.
barbecue.
I think delaying is fine for a team like the Spectre team in particular. Like Ursa and Spectre is kind of questionable for Ursa super late.
I mean, the problem is it's not Ursa and Spectre in the super late. It's Ursa and Lone Druid and Spectre in the super late. And you have the Darkseer as well, who really arguably is kind of evergreen. You know, if Spectre starts getting worse and worse and worse, it means her team fights start getting worse and worse and worse, you know. Dire do Tormentor on their own side. Get it for the Dawnbreaker, which is not a bad shard to have by any stretch. Probably right happy about that. Actually, get it queued up. How about that? Probably right happy about that. So, not a bad Tormentor, not a bad shard to get casually. Very quickly leave the scene. Are now kind of playing like hit and run almost. Trying to specifically dodge fights. They believe as well they're going to be winning in the long. Which, I don't know, I just... Maybe I just don't have no goddamn faith. He's being a little tough in the long. There's too much that screws with the Spectre. Interesting fight.
I'm kind of screwing with them right now.
Yeah, everybody's running from that Dawnbreaker roll, but OD just randomly died. Okay, it's not looking good for Spectre either. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, looking a little better now.
Okay. Nick is taking
Yeah.
the sword for him. Hello.
Reedy. Reedy dies.
Dead.
I mean, that was big, but not getting the Spectre and losing the Ursa made it a lot smaller.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Feels like at this point, there's almost one person that the Reedy team has to look at or think about, and they did not get that person. At the very least, they got 4 people in a tower, so they're not exactly sad. but getting Spectre in these kinds of fights is big. At the very least, putting the Fear of God into her. I mean, she showed up in that fight, got nothing done, and like almost instantly died. Just had to pull a retreat immediately. It's a pretty good situation to be in for Spec, but I mean, look at the way this money went, and tell me who really wins this fight. The team that had a bunch of gold go to the Darkseer, or the team that had a bunch of gold go to the Spectre, you know? You know how it goes. Darkseer is quite a rich man. That was a Zag's reveal in that fight. That's all well and done now. Really does have the ability at this point to kind of go for whatever he wants. Just not great news if you're Spectre, especially if you're a Spectre who really doesn't want to build BKB, as every Spectre kind of is. I mean, you can just very easily end up in a situation where Darkseer buys a halberd and you don't really have anything to do about it for a long time, and that's not great to be in as Spectre.
Dire are scanning.
Once again, Dire looking for a fight, not being provided with one. Once again, not Dire, the Radiant looking for a fight, not being provided with one. As Black King... That is his team, right? No, this is Lotus Orbange Chicken. Whoops, apologies to Black King Burgers. Lotus Orbange Chicken is, once again, not giving it to them. Actually looking at Roche, which is kind of amazing, and nobody's been in there. And Radiant do finally get the idea and say, hey, what if? Only when it's pretty late. Saying go through the Twin Gate, so it'd be honestly pretty surprised if anyone's even still there by that point. They're waiting for it. They're gonna try and do it themselves?
Roche. Like, I'm not sure what they're doing here. Trying to bait a fight?
Maybe.
Because they can't Roche. Like, it's not possible.
Radiants know they're there, though. They know, like, twice over that they're here. Reedy's smoke just popped at a kind of awkward time.
Otto and Nick positioning like they know this is coming. Like, it's a big bait.
Okay, the Spectre just immediately went to the wall. Paid for it. So did Ursa.
Oh man, the illusions. Okay.
Lone Druid. Lone Druid got distracted in that. He was on the other side of the fight, looking at the Furion, which really was not a very big target. His whole team died because of it.
Can they 3v1 JB? Get across the wall.
Can they 3v1 JB is a legitimate question, to be honest with you. Well, the answer is yes, they're going to do that.
Nice fear though. Okay, he's dead.
Yep. Alright,
Ultra kill in our hearts.
Well, that's awkward.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Well, what we really learn for that is, there's either needs that BKB or that Satanic, and the fight calling in these fights has to be a lot better. Like, Lone Druid can't be the guy just randomly hitting a dude on the sideline over here. That does not work for this hero. Lone Druid and his bear, mind you, both working on the same guy. That does not work on this hero, especially not when you're going after the pause 5. You know, Lone Druid and his bear on the OD in that fight changes everything. A Lone Druid and his bear on the OD in that fight makes that, like, you know, turns that 5 for 3 into, like, at least a 4 for 4 or something like that, you know? It's not exactly how it turns out, though. Slightly unfortunate. Just shaking my faith a little bit in lineups that look like this for this particular Reedy team. I mean, you know, it's like I said at the top of the card, the big factor for the Ursa in this game is going to be the organization. The organization factor isn't there. I don't think you can play him. Job to Kuro's part, putting the rock in a hard place here, but this is getting increasingly bad. Everybody on Dire shows up to this fight and just smashes whoever's there.
Oh man, OD problems.
Yeah, they just got baited hard by that. They got baited hard by the Willow there. They just committed a lot to just getting that pick, and they just couldn't get
him.
it.
Auto. Oh, Reedy.
Reedy be like, me. Yeah, this is getting really bad, really fast. I think the Dire very correctly figured out exactly where the success...
JB versus the world again.
Yeah. I think Dire very quickly there figured out where the success came from. The success came from the organization factor. I don't think the Dark Willow was necessarily bait. But they knew that they knew from the last fight, from the experience of that, you know, how the Reedy team was going to operate. You know, they just kind of came out greedy there. I mean, I hate to be mean and say that, especially Reedy greedy, but they kind of came out of that fight very greedily. They came out of that fight very bloodthirsty. You know, everybody just got the dollar signs in their eyes. They went all in. You know, who cares about that OD? We can survive the OD. Let's just get that kill, get the big kill. And now they're getting fountain dive, losing T-Force.
Uh-huh.
Not the most ideal situation. Also, your monitor didn't just break. The game just went black screen when I tabbed out to look at my recording and everything real quick.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, this is looking pretty grim for Team Reedy now. I mean, they get to the extreme late game and they've got it made, but right now they're sitting there with a 17k gold deficit.
And about to lose the game, yeah.
Middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Okay, so Ursa here is not pickable, is what we learned.
I don't think it's an Ursa problem. I think this Ursa hero is pickable, but you have to play the game correctly around it. I just don't think this team really did. There's just too many subsequent fights in a row where Ursa was just kind of left out to dry and nothing was really done about it. You can't do that. Not in a game that looks like this, certainly.
Leaves of three, let them be.
But, you know, we'll talk more about that when the game actually wraps. Spectre finished up the eggs there. Okay, Ursa
Oh no.
going to the back line here, but he's finding a halberd. I feel like also,
Oh, nice spear.
good wall of illusion, but at this point I feel like the disparity is just too much. Ursa watches his whole team die. Ursa watches his whole team die, then he dies, and then he says GG, and then we go home.
Alright,
Well, I mean, again, I hate to say I told you so, but I do think the assumption in the pick phase kind of came true in a way Reedy's team probably would not like. The Reedy team, I think, ultimately, draft-wise, had an advantage. Not a decisive one, mind you. I think it was still a very equal game, all things considered, when you look at it in that light. I think the Reedy team was in a situation where they picked a lineup that is just naturally bad for their playstyle. You know, let's just call a spade a spade. These are independent guys playing your cores, right? You know, the idea of, especially when you have a stand-in, the idea of a very organization-heavy team like this, where the Ursa is going to depend a lot on his teammates for its survival, I think it can be pulled off. I think the world where this game looks very decisive the other way can be a very viable reality. And we almost saw it here. There was a good part of this game where these guys looked like they were firmly in the driver's seat, but just a couple of fights where that OD is just allowed to operate from the back line with no pressure on him. A couple of fights where these guys kind of don't really establish their pecking order and just start like going for everybody around them. As said, those fights where spells just start flying and there's not really a lot of cohesion, not really a lot of, you know, why are we doing this? Just guys doing that. I don't know. It just kind of felt like the organization factor for this draft was not there with this lineup. And maybe that's a week one thing, maybe it's a communication thing, maybe it's a chemistry thing. I don't know. But picking Reedy guys that are going to be perhaps less dependent on the circumstances around him to thrive would definitely be for the best. Picking Big Boy LaCroix, perhaps things that have more of an active role in the game rather than being reliant on fights around you would be for the best. I mean, that's where we've really seen him shine before, is on our, you know, your Necros, your Pit Lords, your heroes of that nature. So, to that end, yeah, I think it's the organization factor. I think Lotus, Orbange, and the Nick team did do a good job taking advantage of it. Like, as stated at the beginning of the game, Otto realizes Reedy does not have his Q and is not the most elegant at dealing with getting out of the trees, and he takes large advantage of it. They kept Spectre out of trouble for most of the game. Even the one fight that was like a massive disaster for this lineup, they still actually got Spectre out unharmed, right? Like, I think they did a good job taking advantage of it, but I think as much or more unfortunate as it is to say, I do think a lot of this was just, Reedy needs to pick, like, I mean, I hate to say it because it's going to sound really mean, just simpler execution teams where you don't need to be 5 best friends to pull it off. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree to the above.
There we go. Perfect. If you or somebody you know wants to learn Dota 2 at a casual or more competitive level, go to ld2l.gg today to sign up. It's too late to get into this season, probably. But there is always call for stand-ins, especially at a time of the year like this. I mean, a time of the year like any time of the year, people are always busy. Queues are popping and houses flying, all kinds of fun to be had, and with that, we'll see you next time with some replays from later this week, including maybe the game 1 of this series. You'll see.